So standing in Tadasana, mountain pose, shoulders back, chin parallel to the floor, fingers long, take a deep breath in, looking up, pushing the hips forwards, and then exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, and exhale, step that right leg back. Getting that right knee as far behind that right hip as you can, and left knee directly above that left ankle. Right arm up in the air, side bending over and across to the left, stretching from that right armpit down through to the right waist and onto that right hip flexor. We breathe nice and deep into that right rib. Nice and slowly in for a count of 3 and out for a count of 3. And then bend that elbow and twist to your left. For Parivrtta Parsvakonasana, drawing those shoulders down. Option to take that back knee off the mat. As you twist, draw the shoulders down and look behind you. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Option to have one arm up, one arm down. Or for those of you that want to bind, you can thread that hand through and interlace the fingers. Inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. Gently release the hands and just walk the back foot in slightly and then straighten both legs for Parsvakonasana. Now back foot slightly turned out so the heel is down, and just pushing that back hip forwards and the front hip backwards. Keep the back flat and then interlace the fingers, clasping them behind the back, lifting the arms up and over, opening out the chest and the shoulders. If that position doesn't agree with you, you can just grab onto the opposite elbow and roll the shoulders back. Take a few breaths in this position, trying to keep both knees as straight as possible. And then gently release both hands to the floor. Now just take that left hand and place it on the inside of that left foot. Turn your head to the right and lift that right arm up in the air. Turn the back foot so it's pointing to the side. Coming into Trikonasana, options are you can be more upright with the hand on the shin or the fingertips on the floor, or you can grab on to that big toe, as long as you don't lean forwards. So really pushing the hips forwards and leaning your torso back. Either looking up to the thumb, towards the ceiling, or down towards the big toe. Inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. You're going to feel that stretch in the waist on that top side, and maybe a little bit in that inner groin on that underneath leg. Drawing the shoulders away from the ears Inhaling for 3. So you should have left foot forward and left hand on the floor. Left foot, left hand. And then you're going to bend that left knee like this, coming into Parsvakonasana. So you're going to take that top arm behind your back and grab the crease of that hip. So left foot is forward, bent, right leg behind you. And then you're going to stretch that underneath arm. So you form a diagonal straight line between that back leg and that top arm. So right leg is at the back, but the left arm is straight. The underneath arm lifts. Inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. The palm of the straight arm is facing directly up to the ceiling. Nice, easy breathing. Making sure that front knee is directly above that front heel. Now release the hand that's behind the back and drop down onto the floor, turning the back foot in, so coming into that runner's lunge. And then from here, see if you can lift the arms up, stretching arms up in the air. Inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. If it's too much, you can drop that back knee down onto the mat, or you can just place the hands on that front thigh if you wish to make it a little easier. Inhale for 3, exhale for 3. Keep those shoulders down and away from the ears. 2 more breaths. And then gently down. And then in 2 movements, you're going to kick the back leg up into the air. So bring it in and then lift it up. Placing the head down towards the knee, whilst lifting that back leg up as high as possible. Opening out that left hamstring. In for 3 and out for 3. Shoulders away from the ears. 2 more breaths. And then gently bring the feet together. Just rise up onto tiptoes, onto the balls of the feet, and then tuck the chin in and curve your back up to the ceiling, just like a cat stretch in the air. Then look up and bend the knees. Stay on tiptoes. And just turn the knees out to the side, bringing those heels together. Doing a little frog action. So the exhale is as you straighten the legs, bringing the head down. Inhale as you bend and you lift the spine up. Now we do 25 as quick as you can manage. So breathe in to prepare and exhale. Any knees used? choose, just have a small bend like this instead. You don't have to go all the way down, it can just be a tiny little bend. Hold it down. And then just separate the feet. Coming into Malasana. Into garland pose. And using your elbows just to push those knees out to the side, wide. And your hands really flat together. Draw the shoulders down. And push the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Inhaling for 3. And exhaling for 3. Regulating the breath. Spine is very long. Now you can choose to stay breathing in Malasana. Or if you wish, you can come into Kakasana, crow pose. So either stay in Malasana and just breathe, keep pushing those knees out, or alternatively, placing the hands on the floor with the elbows pointing out wide to the knees. And then really trying to get those knees up to your shoulder. So in order to get your knees up to the shoulder, you're going to lift the heels up. So raise the height of your heels to raise the height of your knees. And then to get the weight out of the feet and into the hands, you've got to lean forwards. So you've got to lift your butt up in the air without your knees losing contact with the upper arm. So as you lift the butt in the air, in order to avoid losing contact, you've got to lean forward at the same time and kind of dig your knees into the back of your arms. Stay looking ahead, try not to drop and look down. And then just lean from the heel of your hands onto the fingertips. See if you can lift one foot. And then lean back. Again, try the other foot. See if you can lean enough forward to lift the toes off the floor. For the key to lifting both feet is speed. Or lack of, should I say. So you've got to go from the balls of your feet and the heels of your hands, edge forward slowly, edge forward slowly, edge forward slowly, till the weight comes off the ball of the feet onto the big toe and from the heel of the hand towards those fingertips, so that you can then take the feet off the floor and hold it for any length of time, because you've got the correct balance point, rather than using momentum and forcing the body forwards, hoping to get lucky, because then you're just likely to fall back. Gently back to Malasana. Placing the hands on the floor, gently coming into Padottanasana. Feet slightly angled inwards, and just turn the palms outwards so the fingertips are pointing out away from each other. And then just turn your head to the right, lift that right arm off in the air, and turn the left foot out to the left. Rotate the ribs. Looking up towards the ceiling. So your pelvis is unlikely to be level here. It will slightly rotate because you turn the leg out and twist it a little bit further. Going to feel a stretch in the inner groin on that left side as you open out that right chest and shoulder. and then gently release. Turn that foot in. Now repeat the other side. Turn that right foot out to the right, look to the left, and then take that left arm out. Rotating and twisting. And noticing if one side feels a little bit more tight than the other, or a bit more flexible than the other. Or maybe you feel it in a slightly different place. Just observing your own body. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Gently place the hand down and work your way towards that front leg. Turn the hips forwards and then step back. Drop down into chaturanga. Inhale, forward up dog, and exhale, over the toes, down dog. Looking up, coming back into plank from down dog. Now put that right hand into the midline and turn to the left. Coming into Vasisthasana. Option to drop that underneath leg to the floor, but lift the top leg if you can. Otherwise, you can stay inside plank. If you can take that top leg. It's almost like you're doing tree pose in this side plank position. Placing the sole of the foot on that top thigh. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Now if you can take that top leg and step it forward into a lunge and twist the body once again. That's it. And take the back leg, step in. Feet together. Coming into Padangusthasana. So grabbing the big toe with your 2 forefingers and your thumb. Inhale, straighten the arms and look up. Exhale, bend the elbows and push the crown of the head down towards the floor. And at the same time, draw those shoulders back and down, away from your ears. Inhaling for 3. And exhaling for 3. Long, slow in-breath and slow, deep out-breath. On the next breath, straighten the arms, look up. Place the hands on the hips and slowly coming up to standing. From here, taking that right foot, coming into your quad stretch to begin with. You can use a yoga strap behind the leg if you need to, behind the foot. Taking that left arm forwards. Coming into Natarajasana, dancer pose. From here, push the foot away into the hand, and that will pull your right arm back. So pushing the foot, so stretching the right arm, opening out the chest and the shoulder on that right hand side. Then try to push the foot up towards the ceiling. So you can remain more upright. or you can come down to a more horizontal position. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Now, without touching the floor, keep hold of the foot, but bring it in front and cross it over. Okay. Same leg that you've just held on to, crossing over. Now, if that's too much, to make it easier, come into tree pose. Otherwise, heel to the opposite hip. Same arm as the leg goes behind the back. Grabs on to the toes if you can. If not, just keep the hand behind the back. And then you're going to see if you can reach forward for the floor with this spare arm. Reaching forward and down. Or if you've got a block or a piece of furniture, you can place your hand on that. Otherwise, just stay in tree pose. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Gently look up, come up onto the fingertips, soften the knees, and slowly release. Changing sides, bringing that left heel towards that left butt cheek. And stretch that right arm forwards. Pushing that foot away. And then lifting up. So either you can be more upright, which is a little easier, or you can drop down to a more horizontal position, which is often a little more challenging to hold the balance. Inhaling for a count of 3. And exhaling for a count of 3. Keeping the eyes focused on one spot in order to help you balance. Try to transition without touching the floor. Bringing that leg forwards, either into tree pose, or if you can, if your knees allow, bring that heel up to the opposite hip. Same arm goes behind the back. If you can grab onto the toes, fine. If not, just leave the arm behind the back. And see if you can reach forward for a block, or your shin, or a piece of furniture, or if you're able to touch the floor. Bringing the head down. Inhaling for 3. Exhaling for 3. Gently look up, come up onto the fingertips, soften the knee, and slowly release to standing. And before we do that on the other side, so you're going to do 5 salutations. So inhale, arms up, looking up, exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, exhale, either step or jump back. You can drop the knees down for a nice easy chaturanga, or you can do chaturanga from plank. Inhale, up dog, and exhale, roll over the toes into down dog. Then inhale, rise up onto tiptoes, bend the knees, look up, either step or jump. And straighten the legs, head down. Inhale, arms come up, and exhale. So we're going to do that another 4 times, breathing in, looking up. Exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Chaturanga. Inhale, forward up dog, and exhale, over the toes, down dog. Inhale, rise onto tiptoes, bend the knees, look up, either step one leg at a time or jump 2 feet together. Then straighten the legs, head down. Inhale, look up, arms come up, and exhale. Number 3, inhale, looking up, stretching hips forwards. Exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, rise onto tiptoes, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Straighten the legs, head down. Inhale, arms up, and exhale. Inhale, looking up, exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, exhale, down dog. Inhale, rise up, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Straighten the legs, head down. Inhale, look up, and exhale, slowly coming back down. Last time, breathing in, exhale, hands down, head down. Inhale, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, exhale, down dog. Inhale, rise onto tiptoes, bend the knees, look up, exhale, step or jump. Straighten the legs, head down. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, release. So repeating that on the other side, breathing in, and exhale, hands down, head down. Looking up, step back, left leg, and drop that left knee down onto the mat. That left knee as far behind that left hip as you can get. Right knee directly above that right ankle. Left arm in the air. Side bend to the right. Opening out and stretching from that left armpit down to the left waist. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Shoulder down, away from the ears. Breathing into that left rib. And then bending that left elbow, twisting to the right. Coming into Parivrita, Parsvakonasana. Hands in prayer pose. Or you can have one arm down, one arm up. Or you can bind, threading that hand through. clasping the hands together behind the back, whatever works for you. Option to take the back knee off the mat and really pull that top shoulder right back, so opening out the chest. Looking behind you as far as you're able to. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Sinking down to that front knee. Deeper into the lunge if you can. Couple more breaths. And then gently release the hands. Straightening that front leg. And just hop that back leg in just an inch or two so you can get that back heel on the floor. Might have to slightly turn out to the side somewhat. Now just pull that front hip backwards and the back hip forward so you're not hip hitching. So you have equal length on both sides of the waist. Coming into Parsvottanasana. So either grabbing onto the opposite elbow, or you can lift the arms up and over. Opening out the chest and shoulders, as well as that hamstring on the front leg. Nice steady breathing. And gently release the hands. So now you have your right foot forwards. Place your right hand on the inside of that right foot. Look to the left. Turn your head to the left. And then turn that back foot to the side. Coming into Trikonasana on the other side. So options are to come put the hand on the shin or on a block. Fingertips on the floor or around the big toe. As long as you don't lean forwards. Try to push the hips forward and lean your torso back like you're sandwiched between two sheets of glass. Either looking up traditionally towards the thumb on that top arm, or you can look down at the big toe on that front leg, if that feels easier, on your neck. Inhaling for 3 and exhaling for 3. Drawing those shoulders away from the ears. So feeling the stretch in that waist on the top side. And a little bit maybe on the inner groin on that front leg. Notice if one side feels different to the other. Coming back into Parsvottanasana, bending that front knee. And just taking that top arm behind your back and inserting the fingertips of that top hand into the crease of the hip. Then from here, just stretching the underneath arm. So the palm is facing up to the ceiling. And ideally the body forms a diagonal straight line from that back heel all the way to the fingertips of that outstretched arm. So ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, ear, right through to the fingertips in that straight line. That front knee, right knee, make sure it's pushing out over that little toe side so it's not rolling in over the big toe. In for 3 and out for 3. Two more breaths. Then release the hand from behind the back, lift it up and over. Turn the back foot in. Coming into runner's lunge. So option to drop that back knee onto the floor if you wish. And its simplest form, you can just have the hands on the knee. Otherwise, arms are in the air, palms facing inwards, and the back knee is off the floor. Always feel like somebody got hold of your ribs and kind of pulled them up. So out away from your hips, so making space between your rib and your hips, so that you have a big gap between your last rib, the 12th rib, and the rim of your hip, the crest of your hip. Lengthening up tall, shoulders sliding down. Inhaling for 3, and exhaling for 3. Place the hands down. In 2 movements, you're going to kick the back leg up in the air. So the first movement, you bring it in, and the second movement, you take it up. As you take that leg up, bring the head down. Inhaling for 3, exhaling for 3. Shoulders down, away from the ears, pull them back. And lifting that back leg up as high as you're able to. Gently release the foot down. Coming into Padahastasana. Palms go under the soles of the feet. Your toes are at your wrist level. Inhale, straighten the arms. Look up, pull those shoulders down. And then exhale, bend the elbows and push the crown of the head down towards the floor. Shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling for 3. And exhaling for 3. Gently release. Place the hands flat on the floor, bend the knees, look up. Exhale, either step or jump back. Coming into Chaturanga. Bend the elbows, push forward and up. And then roll over the toes, back into down dog. Now look up. Now this time, as we jump forward, you're going to jump the feet on the outside of the hands. So you're going to rise up onto tiptoes, bend the knees, and then jump with the legs wide. Yeah. As if you're going to do crow. So again, you can come into Malasana if you wish. Otherwise, we're going into Bujapidasana. So it's an arm balance on the floor. So you want to bring your elbows underneath your thighs. So it's kind of, you've got to lift your butt, bring your arms, your elbows through, and then bring your hands on the floor like this. Now you can put your hands on some blocks if you wish. Otherwise, like I say, you can go back to Malasana if you feel, which is, Malasana is this one. Otherwise, see how far you can get into Bujapidasana. So we come to here, elbows under lift the butt, place the hands on the floor. See if you can get to even that position. And then it's kind of the opposite of crow really, because crow you're leaning forward, Bhuja Padasana, you're going to lean back. So you're going to bend your elbows so that your thighs have something, a little table, a little shelf to rest on. And then you lift the head up and you drop the butt towards the floor, because the more you drop your butt down, the more you'll be able to lift your feet off the ground. But you're bending the elbows so that your thighs have something to rest on. Otherwise, if the arms are straight, then your legs will just fall down the arms. So even if you can get to here, even without the feet coming off, that's great. Otherwise, then you start to lift the feet, and then you can lift the butt back up. So you either straighten the legs, or you can cross like this. Otherwise, even just getting to this position is an achievement, whether your feet are on or off. And then gently release. So these more challenging ones, obviously going to take a little longer to get, but you're just looking for a spark, you're looking for a start. How far can I go into that position? Okay, otherwise you'll only ever stick with the postures that you know you can do, which is a little bit easy, so you've got to push yourself out of that comfort zone. So we're just straighten the right leg with the toes of the right foot pointing up towards the ceiling. The left knee is bent. Okay, and then from here you're going to reach for the toes of that right foot. If you can't grab the big toe with your 2 forefingers and your thumb, you can use a yoga strap or just hold on to the shin instead. So either way, we want to bend this elbow because we want to kind of come into a side bend. So the usual thing is to twist towards that straight leg, but actually that's the opposite of what we want to do. We want to really turn the body away from the straight leg because it's the stretch down the side of the spine that we're after. So we're going to bend that elbow and kind of push the elbow, if you're able to, against the thigh, and that will help give you some leverage from which to twist the ribs away. Then you're going to lift that top arm up in the air. And if you can, just bend a little bit more to the side. But if it means starting to twist towards that leg, then just leave the arm up in the air or wherever it feels comfortable. Pushing this opposite knee down towards the mat, and you're going to feel that stretch from the waist all the way up to the armpit on that top side, and kind of looking underneath the armpit towards the ceiling. Twisting the ribs away from the floor. Breathing into that top rib. Inhaling for a count of 3 and exhaling for a count of 3. And then gently release. Now just straightening that leg out to the side. And bring the arms in front. So make sure you're pushing out through the heels and the toes are up to the ceiling so the legs aren't just flopping in or out. Yeah. Now, lift the breastbone up. Roll the shoulders back and just start to walk your hands forward till you feel a pull in between those inner groins. If it helps, you can put a cushion or a yoga block underneath your butt just to prop you up a little bit. That might help to keep your spine a little straighter. Keep pushing out through those heels. And go as far as you can. If you can get the elbows onto the floor, that's fine. But remember, don't force it. You should feel nothing more than mild discomfort. Otherwise, you can bring the arms forward or to the side. Pushing out through those heels. Or we can come to full posture. Komasana, which looks like this. Bring your elbows under. Kind of just did that in the previous movement where you take your elbows under and the arms come out. And this time, you're just going to reach the chest towards the floor. So this is the next level of the stretch we've just shown you. And if you can get the chest to the floor, then you've got to try to take the heels off the mat. So to take the heels off, it means you have to push the thighs, the upper thigh, down against your arm. So you've got to make sure that if you're going to do that, that your thighs are not on your elbows, they're not on the joint. They have to be on the upper arm, away from the joint, so that you can then push down and then lift those heels up. Otherwise, you're in any of these positions, on the hands, or reaching for the toes, wherever you can get so that you feel a stretch in those inner groins. Here. Just hold it wherever you can manage for a few more seconds, making sure you've got equal weight on both sit bones. And again, don't worry what you look like, it's just what it feels like. Can you feel the stretch in the inner groins? Is all you need to ask yourself. And then gently release. So now we're going to change leg. So now we've got that left leg straight out to the side and the right knee bent, pushing out through that left heel. Either reaching for the shin or using a yoga strap or grabbing the two forefingers and the thumb, turning the ribs away and bending the elbows. So we're already in the side bend. So at this point here, you just got to make sure that your back isn't rounded, okay? It's almost like someone's punched you at the back of the shoulder blades and you lift the breastbone up. So the chest is really proud here. And then lifting that top arm up and over. Breathing into that top rib. Turning the body away, looking under your armpit. In for 3 slowly, and out for 3 slowly. And just noticing if one side of the spine, the stretch from that armpit down to the waist, does it feel different on this side than it does on the other side? Does one feel tighter, one looser? Do they feel the same? Do you feel it in the same places? Just observing your own body. And then gently release. Stretching the legs out. And then coming into Janu Shishasana. So we're going to bend that right leg and bring the sole of the foot up towards the, as high as you can, towards the pubic bone, okay? The other leg pointing straight forward. If that's uncomfortable on the knee, you can just take that knee out to the side instead. Otherwise, that straight leg, yeah, pushing out through that heel. So you've got to make sure the knee isn't rolling out to the side and nor is the foot. So knee points up to the ceiling, we flex the toes up towards us, and then we reach forward with a nice flat back. You inhale, and then you're going to lean, trying to keep the spine as flat as you can. Now either reach for the shin or if you can, grabbing behind the foot, and then bend the elbows and kind of, you've got to release that tailbone, release the sit bones from underneath you, because we're trying to avoid hunching like this, having a rounded spine. So really kind of lifting the breastbone and then letting those sit bones, almost like you're pulling them out from underneath you. And then we're trying to reach the crown of the head, not necessarily for the knee, but almost for the toes. We're trying to pull ourselves forward, using our hands to pull and lengthen the spine towards the toes. Drawing those shoulders down away from the ears, trying to keep the back as flat as you're able to. And then close the eyes, close the mouth, and breathe in for a count of 3 through the nostrils, and out for a count of 3 through the nostrils. Toes up to the ceiling. Almost feeling the breath go into the sides and into the back of your ribs, expanding your ribs out laterally. Again, register where you are, where your body is in space within this stretch, and the area that you feel the most stretch. And then giving it a number on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being painful, 5 is average, 1 is nothing. Remind yourself we're looking for about a level 7, mild discomfort but no pain. So the stretch challenges you. And then gently release, slowly coming out of position. Now changing leg, stretching that other leg, and then bending that left knee. So now we have the right leg straight out in front of us. Knee points up to the ceiling, toes point up to the ceiling. We reach up nice and tall, and then forward bend, leaning forwards, pushing out through the heel, bending the elbows, and really pressing those palms, if you got hold of the leg, trying to pull your torso forwards, pushing the head towards the toes, lengthening the spine. So trying to keep the spine as long as possible rather than shortening it and rounding it. So the stretch, the potential stretch that you feel here is obviously the hamstring, back of the thigh and that front leg. You might notice a little stretch here for some of you in the opposite waist on the other side, and maybe the lower back. Again, it just depends if you have any where your tightness or tension is. Or you may just feel it in the hamstrings. Keeping those shoulders away from the ears. Eyes are closed. And you're focusing on the breathing. In for 3 slowly. And out for 3 slowly. Slowly coming back up and straightening out the other leg. Coming into Purvottanasana, lifting those arms up and placing them behind you. Fingertips pointing forwards, ideally. Otherwise, if that's not comfortable, out to the side or behind you. Remember to bend the knees to make this posture a little easier. Otherwise, it's 2 straight legs. And the key is not to let your shoulders come forwards, otherwise you won't get the height off the floor. So really roll the shoulders back, lifting that breastbone, squeeze those glutes and use those glutes to drive the hips up, either looking straight ahead or slightly up towards the ceiling. And then push out of your shoulders. Breathing in for 3, slowly. And out for 3, slowly. Feeling the work in the back of the legs and the glutes. Feeling the stretch maybe in the chest and the work in the arms. 2 more breaths. And then gently release. Coming to lying down on our backs. So we're going to start off with some finishing poses where the legs are going to come over the head. So just remind yourself that you can grab a piece of furniture like a sofa to try to rest your legs on. You can support your hands behind the back so that it's not so much of your spine off the floor. You could also just go into a basic bridge pose as an alternative if you didn't want to take the legs overhead. Or you can just stay in a little bit of a pelvic tilt, working into those abdominals. But if you can, you're going to take the legs overhead. If you find it difficult to get the legs overhead, I'd suggest you start here and then you just kind of roll back like you're rolling like a ball, and the momentum will kind of give you a bit of oomph, and then you can just transfer the hands behind you. Just remind yourself you don't have to have your legs straight, you don't have to have your feet on the floor, okay? Just wherever feels right for you. Choice of hand position, it can be on the back of the hips, or you can clasp the hands together, making them like a fist, turning those elbows in, and they can go along the floor. So opening up the back of the spine. It's a little bit challenging to breathe in this position. Keeping the eyes closed, keeping your focus within. You can either stay in Halasana plow pose, or you can bend the knees either side of the ears and come to Karnapidasana. Again, don't worry if the knees don't touch the floor or if your feet don't touch the floor. And then we're going to lift the legs, straighten the legs, and put one leg up in the air at a time into shoulder stand, Salamba Sarvangasana. If that doesn't feel comfortable to go into shoulder stand, you can just put your feet against the wall and do some spine curls, lifting one vertebra at a time off the floor with your feet against the wall, tilting the pelvis, rolling up, and then coming back down one vertebra at a time. If that feels better for you, if you find shoulder stand a challenge, just working through the spine, bone by bone. That feels a little easier for you. We're opening out the legs, coming into a variation of Halasana, plow, with the legs wide and the palms together, fingertips pointing up to the ceiling. Then either grabbing the big toe, or to make it easier, grab the ankle, or easier again, behind your calves. And then you're going to roll up to sitting. So we're starting here, rolling up. And then closing the legs. For one last pose. Keep one leg in the air. We're going to come into Kranchasana, heron pose. So we've got one foot bent. It's like a half Virasana position. If that doesn't agree with your knee, just put the leg out to the side like this instead. Otherwise, your knee turns in and you bring your foot towards the outside as close as you can get. It's almost like the big toe is tucked under. And then you grab hold of the sole of the foot and we're going to stretch it up. Okay? You can use a yoga strap behind the foot for this, or a stretch band. Otherwise you might have to bend the knee a little in order to be as upright as you can. What you don't want to do is lean back and rock back here, okay? So better to have a straight spine and the knee slightly bent, okay? So drawing those shoulders down and really trying to feel like you've been punched in the back and lifting that breastbone, drawing the shoulders down and getting the spine as tall as you can. So you're going to feel the stretch in that hamstring, but working on the posture and a flat back. Kranchasana, heron pose. If you can, you bend the elbows a little and you can bring that leg a little closer in. Yeah? But not if it results in you leaning back. And then gently release. Changing leg. So bend the knee in, and then hands go behind the sole of the opposite foot. Otherwise, like I say, if that position of the knee doesn't agree with you, just put that leg out to the side instead. And you're holding on to the sole of the foot and you're lifting that leg up. Okay? But remember, it's okay to have your knees straight, but try to pull your spine up nice and tall. Draw those shoulders down, lift the breastbone up, chin parallel to the floor. Trying not to lean back. So really like balancing on the sit bone of that straight leg, not behind the sit bone. Lift the breastbone up, drop those shoulders down. And then gently release. So, to finish off, I'm going to do a breathing technique, pranayama technique, rather than a relaxation technique. And if you're able to sit in Virasana, it's an internal rotation of the legs, okay? So the knees are together, the heels are just kind of touching and almost tucked under the thighs. But if that feels really uncomfortable on your knees, your choice is you can put some cushions or some blocks under to raise the height of your butt, okay? If that feels uncomfortable. Or of course you can just sit on the heels, yeah, like this. Or you can sit however you feel comfortable sitting, whether that's sitting cross-legged, or you can even do it sitting on a chair. Whatever works for you. So, sitting however you feel comfortable. And then we're going to pump the stomach. So we're going to do a few minutes just pumping that navel back in. So remember, this is kind of breath of fire, or Kapalabhati, is that pumping of the navel on the exhalation. So we don't need to think about the in-breath. It happens automatically. It will get sucked in automatically by the vacuum that's created. So just thinking, yeah, pumping, and it's equal in-breath length, equal out-breath. It's just you don't have to think about the in-breath. We're only thinking about the out-breath. So it's like we blowing out through the nostrils as we pump the stomach, yeah? So the breath comes out through the nostrils just as a result of pushing the air out of the belly because we've pumped the navel. So this is really good. It's an energizing breath, gets us going, ready for action. It's a heating breath, and it's really detoxifying, helps with digestion, with bloatedness, with gas, and it's a kind of yoga's equivalent of a caffeine fix, let's put it that way, okay? So, really good to do. Let's have our palms up. So just the back of the hands on the thighs, so the energy is going upwards, shoulders back and down. Eyes are going to be closed. Take an initial breath in, keeping the mouth closed, and when you're ready, start to pump the navel. Keep going. If you go dizzy or lightheaded while you're doing this, and you're over breathing, so just stop. Take a couple of normal breaths in and then resume when you can. So pumping the navel as you push the air out through the nose. Spine is nice and tall. One more minute. Breathe in, suspend the breath, hold the breath. Pull in Mula Bandha, so contract the anus, the sex organs, pull inwards and upwards on the navel point whilst holding the breath. And exhale. So hopefully that have raised the energy level, getting ready for you to start your day. So, namaste. Thank you for joining me.